everyone. I'm Adam Brown, and this is Shell Point Today for Tuesday, August 12th. On today's show, we'll continue to look back 10 years to Hurricane Charley, remembering what life was like inside the shelter during the big storm. We'll also hear from Hurricane Bob again with a helpful tip on how to pass the time if you end up in that shelter. And we'll hear about a furniture sale going on now at the Shell Point Thrift store. And we'll get a look at the newly renovated kitchen at the King's Crown. But first, a few reminders about events happening today. For you crafty folks, publisher and designer Jill Hagland will be here to help you create a one-of-a-kind butterfly waxed canvas. You can enjoy learning techniques to apply color, text, images, wax, twine, and spattered crayon to a 4x4x4 chunky canvas. All skill levels are welcome. Come and construct a work of art that could be perfect for display in your home or as a custom holiday gift. This event takes place today in the Social Center on the island at 2:15 p.m. and the cost is just $10. Also, for you who have RSVP'd, today is the day for the virtual dementia tour. It runs from 9 a.m. till noon and from 1 p.m. until 4 p.m. in the Grand Cypress Room at the Woodlands. The Shell Point Thrift Store continues to celebrate 3 successful years of operation, and right now they have a sale going on for furniture. If you or someone you know needs furniture, now is the time to take a look at the thrift store. We met up with Melody Desilets at the store to get the lowdown.
Hi Shell Point, I'm Melody Desilets. I'm here at the Community Thrift Store in the Miners Shopping Plaza, and I'm here today not to tell you a story, but to tell you about a big sale that we have going on with all the furniture in the store. Can you imagine this beautiful dinette set in your apartment? With a 25% off sale, we would take over $100 off. You might want to consider this set for your place. Or how about a beautiful sectional couch? Or maybe you're looking for a new coffee table. Or maybe you're looking for something a little bit more unique. And if you can convince your husband that this is the right shade of bubblegum pink, then this could be yours today. Or maybe you're looking to store your beautiful plates that have been passed down through the generations. This would be the place to find something like that. Or maybe you're looking for something to refurbish. This desk is just the piece for that. It's got an excellent shell and great hardware, and with 25% off, it's a great deal. Now if you're wondering what this unique piece is, so am I, but here's the good news, it's 25% off, so you can make it into whatever you'd like it to be. Now if you're looking for a conversation piece, maybe these antique chairs would look perfect in your corner. And remember, Shell Point, this sale goes from today until August 23rd. So be sure to head over to your local community thrift store for the biggest furniture sale yet. Thank you for joining me, and we hope to see you out and about.
The King's Crown Kitchen dutifully served up meals for 27 years, but the wear and tear was catching up, and new code changes meant it was time for an upgrade. The long and extensive experience of the Shell Point team with construction and refurbishment projects came into play in a unique way, as the project was planned to be done in 60 days. This remarkable goal was accomplished, and this week the new King's Crown Kitchen is reopening. We got a pre-opening tour with Hospitality Services Director Al Slickers.
Hello, I'm Al Slickers, Director of Hospitality Services here at Shell Point Retirement Community, and today I'd like to introduce you to the newly renovated kitchen at the King's Crown. This kitchen's been under construction for about 8 weeks now, and we're getting ready to open this coming week and look forward to it. Well, this is the new kitchen, recently renovated kitchen at King's Crown. King's Crown Kitchen serves approximately 100 residents 3 times a day, 7 days a week. And we serve approximately 103,000 meals here a year at the King's Crown. The old kitchen served its purpose very well. It lasted for 27 years. And during that 27 years, we produced over 3 million meals out of this kitchen. And we just recently renovated it to bring it up to date and modernize it make sure that it's operating efficiently and effectively and bring it up to the standards and codes of today. As you can see, we've taken everything in here and replaced it. We put new walls in, a new floor, we put new refrigeration, new equipment. We're able to keep the heat out of the kitchen because of the efficiency as well, which again is saving on our electric bill and air conditioning here. We have a new exhaust system here that's much more energy efficient. We can control the temperature of the air coming in and keep the air conditioning under control, and also the amount of hot air that's going out. We get that out of the kitchen, so it's working much more efficiently from an energy management perspective. Also, we've put new equipment in here that will operate much more efficiently. The SEER rating is much higher on this equipment now, so that'll help us with energy management as well. A couple of other things that are interesting here is the floor that we're walking on has a very high coefficient from a slip safety perspective. And this will be a much safer environment for employees to work in and make sure that we minimize falls, and again, with safety of employees in mind. The other thing that's interesting is our walls. The walls are all FDA approved, and they're easily washed and sanitized, so we can wipe them down and keep them clean. They're non-permeable, so it'll make it much more effective for us to keep the kitchen cleaner and up to health code standards. We do get inspected by the health department once a quarter, and these are the things that they're looking at. These are some of the recommendations they made, and we put that into our plan as well. The generator, it's on a backup generator, and all of our refrigeration is on this backup system. So if we do lose power, we go to a generator, we don't have to worry about food spoilage. So we can run our refrigeration for 3 days without any power from FPL based off of our generator here. And we can also use this kitchen in a situation of emergency or potential disaster. This is also a backup kitchen. The other thing we did here, which was unique, is in our equipment, we now have electric and gas. We had that before, but we divided our production capability up, so if we do lose one utility, we have a backup system here to make sure that we can run at least 50% of our equipment either on gas or electric. So that's a nice enhancement as well. Make sure that we're able to provide meals, again, 3 times a day, 7 days a week for residents. One of the things that's unique here is we have a new chase system that's put into place, and you can see the utilities coming out of the ground, the gas and electric. All of that is now distributed through one panel right here, so that electricians can get to it from one side, the plumber can get to it from one side. We have quick disconnects on the gas, so it's easily maintained. We can roll the equipment out to clean underneath of it, to work on it, to maintain it. So it helps us keep everything neat and organized here. So overall, you can see that we've really modernized here. We've brought everything up to current standards, current regulations here at Shell Point, and we look forward to serving the residents of Kings Crown for many, many years to come with this kitchen.
Now we continue our retrospective on the 10-year anniversary of Hurricane Charley and how it affected Shell Point. For those in the shelter, there was dramatically less drama inside than outside. The thick concrete walls of the shelter effectively shielded more than 1,000 people from the winds and the flying debris. But what was life like during those hours in the shelter? Here's what people remembered.
But we got to the shelter at 10 a.m. When we got there, our kit was right there. Our kit was on our cot.
And it was just nothing but chairs and cots all around. One man said as he came in, "I think this cruise was overbooked."
Initially, all the shutters were actually up. They weren't down. And we were watching outside. We were looking at the conditions changing pretty rapidly outside and anticipating what was going to happen.
The big windows were open and we had a breeze through, we could have some fresh air and all through there. Then they began to put down all the windows because the winds were building.
And then they dropped the shutters down and sealed us in. And literally, it was as though, I think for me, the whole atmosphere changed. And people were, there was actually a wonderful spirit about the people that were, it was a camaraderie. We were in this together.
I was really impressed by how calm everybody was and just so trusting, And I was pretty trusting myself. I know Bob Southern, and he said this is a strong, steady shelter. It's going to be okay.
The thing that meant the most to me as an individual, having gone through Andrew, was that I had a place to go, a place that was safe. And I knew we would have food there. I knew we would be housed safely. I knew we would have water there. We would have umpteen porta potties, which are really important when you're locked up in a shelter.
There were even porta wash places where you could wash your hands and your face, brush your teeth. I was amazed.
The big thing was, you know, the heat.
I knew it was going to be really, really hot.
It was uncomfortable.
It was hot.
The shelter was active and loud and hot.
Some would be very polite, but I would say, "How are you doing?" And some would say, "I do not like this at all." And I had to think, well, I can appreciate that.
It wasn't like the Ritz-Carlton, but we were well cared for. They had snacks.
Oh yeah, the food was great.
The meals were good. They constantly had snacks and water.
We didn't have steak and fried potatoes.
We're bringing out more food, and people were coming to get the food and taking it back to their friends and neighbors.
And we're supposed to take our turns going over there, but every now and then somebody at the Oak Mountain was very hungry, and I said, well, let's see what we can do. So I'd go over there and said, oh, sure, we'll bring some over to you, even if it's not their turn. I mean, everybody was so cooperative, it was amazing. At 12 noon, we had lunch. At 3 o'clock, we had a hurricane. At 6 o'clock, we had supper. And at 10 o'clock, we went back home.
Some people were playing cards, some were just quietly reading.
I had a book. My seat was under a light and I enjoyed reading, so I kept busy.
I had taken as an activities person lots of games and lots of cards and lots of things that I thought people would, you know, be wanting to do, crossword puzzles. They didn't want to do any of that stuff. All they wanted to do was listen to the forecast of where it was coming down.
Just a noise level of normal conversation inside that small and kind of enclosed area was such that you actually didn't hear the rain outside.
I had used the bullhorn, went through the entire shelter, making about 8 different stops, as I recall, giving this message out to all the folks who were there. And you had to make multiple stops because people couldn't hear you very far away, even with the bullhorn. So I finished telling everybody in the shelter that it was a Category 1 and that it was going to go up the coast and probably not a big deal for us. And I ended up by the walkway that comes over from the maintenance building, and I turned around and Pam Gehring was coming out of that walkway, and her eyes were as big as saucers, and she's yelling at me that the storm is now a Category 4, it's turned direction and it's coming right at us. So I just finished telling everybody in the shelter that it was a 1 and it wasn't a big deal, and now it was a very big deal.
That's when I started enjoying the hurricane. I looked out the little peephole and saw a piece of the roof in the church fly by.
The wind came primarily out of the south, blowing north. My window faces west, so I could open up my shutters, and I was, of course, looking parallel to the direction of the wind. So we were able to observe at the height of the storm what was happening with the trees.
The wind just had the trees bending down halfway to the ground. It was quite an experience.
We were entertaining each other and helped each other, you know, with getting up and down off of those low chairs.
People had gone to the drugstore and bought those beach chairs that when you sit down on them, you fall over, and when you lie down on them, you can't get up from them without the help of 2 strong men.
It was really funny to watch them get out of those things. Some couldn't get out at all. We had to pull them out of there. Some of the chairs folded up around them.
And I must have lifted probably 150 people out of their little low-lying bench or little cot. So you always had something to do. You were just walking around.
I remember just walking around and around and around from court to court to court and talking, and you kind of forgot, you know, that you were in a parking garage shelter.
I just simply walked the shelter, having nothing better to do. Walking was a great outlet to sort of relieve my anxiety or whatever it was, the feelings I had about being caught in this circumstance.
I had a wonderful friend. Her name was Edna Harkless. August 13th happened to be Edna's 80th birthday. One of her daughters was here and had planned a little birthday celebration for her and had a cake. And we all went into the hurricane shelter and we celebrated Edna's birthday, cake and all, in the hurricane shelter. So it was really kind of an interesting, happy experience. And Edna herself, she was just like beside herself. She was so excited that, my goodness, not everybody gets to spend their birthday in a hurricane shelter.
One of the things that I really learned during that time was we all were running on that excess adrenaline, I think. And so people continued to work nonstop.
We were so focused on taking care of people from not only the pavilion but the King's Crown. That was just everybody's focus, and keeping them calm and comfortable. And
in the time of crisis, people band together.
I've never been more proud of our residents and our staff for the way they jumped in and cooperated, did what they needed to do, and dealt with what we were faced with. And it was quite an extraordinary experience in that respect.
The absolute level of cooperation that we had from the residents. They stayed in place, they took care of business, they stayed as relaxed as they could. We were doing as best we could with beverages, hydration and food, clean up, words of encouragement. But the exact, the environment in the shelter to me was remarkable for one, the first time they've ever been in there, and for the amount of hours that they stayed in there.
Sense of support and gratitude by residents that we're so glad for this safety, and it's uncomfortable, but it's okay.
They were wonderfully prepared, absolutely. I can't really fault anything.
So if we've learned anything from this Charley shelter experience, it's be ready to sit for long hours and bring something to do. And that includes listening to music, as Bob Southern explains in this segment of Hurricane Advice from Hurricane Bob.
When you come to the shelter, you're going to need something to do to pass the time. So bring your iPod, groove to your own tunes, and tune out the storm. Oh, and by the way, bring your earbuds and not your boom box. Oh, how do the kids listen to that stuff? I'm Bob Southern, and that's good hurricane season advice.
Now it's time to cover all of today's happenings, academy news, menus, and village church connections.
Hi, I'm Jill Aldrink, and I'm here with Bev Chanley, and we're going to tell you what's happening today, Tuesday, August 12th. At 7:15, we start the day with Bend, Breathe, and Balance in the Health Club. 8 o'clock is pickleball out on the pickleball court. At 8 o'clock, we have round robin doubles tennis at the tennis courts in the Woodlands. At 8:15, the Stamp Ministry will be meeting in the Stamp Room. The Ladies Golf Association will be meeting at 8:30 out at the Shell Point Golf Club. And at 9 o'clock, the virtual dementia training will be taking place in the Grand Cypress Room. At 9:15, we have several options. There's open painting in the art studio, shuffleboard on the island at the shuffleboard court, and at 9:30, we have match play mixed doubles tennis at the tennis courts. 10:15 through the Bible meets in the Osprey Room, and at 11 o'clock, the Susie Q will be heading out to Rum Runners for lunch. At 11:45, you won't want to miss the Living Healthy Health Connections. They meet in the Osprey Room each week. Bev, what do we have for this afternoon?
Thanks, Jill. We're going to start at 12:30 today with Mixed Progressive Bridge. That'll be held in the game room at the Woodlands. At 1:15, we have a Health Connections class. It's all about you. Chronic disease and self-management program. They'll be in the Manatee Room on the island. At 1:15, we have the Knitters group in the Osprey Room. We also have at 1:15 the Rollicking Recorderists. They'll be down in the Tarpon Room. And again at 1:15, we have the Women's Ministries Prayer Group. They'll be meeting in 408 Royal Bonnet. At 1:30, we have a Health Connections Aqua Pilates Stretch. That'll be at the Life Quest Aquatic Center. We'll move to 2:15 for an introductory class, Butterfly Waxed Canvas. sort of a batiking kind of activity. That'll be in the social center on the island. Should be interesting and fun. At 2:45, we have a Health Connections Balance and Mobility Training Level 2 in the Health Club. That's currently full. Well, we're glad you joined us today, and we'll see you right back here again tomorrow.
Menus for Tuesday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is Italian braised beef with Parmesan risotto and roasted tomatoes. The dinner special is Build Your Own Stir Fry for $12.95, and the soup of the day is tomato. In the Island Cafe for lunch, the special is a Philly cheesesteak with onion rings for $7.25. The dinner special is meatloaf with mashed potatoes and baby carrots for $8.25. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill are Steak Diane for $15.95 or crab cakes for $16.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm David Pavey, an assistant pastor at the church. I've thought a lot about a verse in the Old Testament of the Bible. One who puts on his armor should not boast like one who takes it off. And that's found in 1 Kings 20, verse 11. A young man preparing to go off to battle puts on his gear, but has nothing to boast about. But the soldier who comes home, victorious after the battle, has a track record of accomplishment. One who puts on his armor should not boast like one who takes it off. Let me illustrate. My Aunt Vera turned 90 that day. Now 90 doesn't sound so old at Shell Point, but I was much younger then, so it sounded like quite a record to me. And what a party we had for Aunt Vera, with well over 100 friends out to celebrate, with cards, gifts, balloons, and a cake the size of a football field. But then, what a lady! Still swimming daily, still driving, still life and soul of the party, and still abounding in the work of the Lord. Little wonder that her friends should rise up and call her blessed. 90 years of memories. The early years in Bristol, England, where a devout family planted the seeds that would lead to a lifetime of Christian service. Nursing school, marriage to Bob Willey, then off to Athens for a decade as missionary tent makers. World War II forced an escape from Greece. With only 2 hours' notice from the British government, they boarded the last refugee ship and risked the dangerous voyage across the Mediterranean to Alexandria. When Bob joined the Air Force, the Royal Air Force in Egypt, the British tried to evacuate Aunt Vera to safety, but she declined. Instead, she served the remaining 4 years of the war with the British Faith Mission as a missionary to soldiers in the land of the pyramids. Many a night Vera spent in bomb shelters as Rommel and his men moved inexorably closer. She could hear the bombs. Another offer to escape the war zone. Another refusal. No way. As long as the British soldier boys were in Egypt, Aunt Vera would be there too, to provide nursing care, play the old hymns on the piano, serve tea, and encourage them to find peace with God. Early 1945, with the Allied forces well on their way to the Rhine, Vera and Bob sailed from Alexandria to Glasgow, through seas riddled with submarines. 5 naval vessels protected their 13-ship convoy. Saltwater showers, sleeping fully dressed, life jacket in hand, day and night, some cruise. But life was still only half over. 4 years later, invited to the USA, Vera and Bob arrived in New York to begin a new chapter in their life book. They generated post-war relief supplies for Greek believers. They helped to plant 3 local churches, and then began yet another career in their 60s as directors of a Christian retirement community. A widow for 10 years, Aunt Vera continued to minister with great energy, enthusiasm, and good humor. The birthday celebration was well deserved. Most of my life, I've worked with young adults who have just put their armor on, to follow our verse. Life is before them, so they have visions of what they hope to accomplish, but still no track record of accomplishment in the real world. They have passed many tests, but not the test of time. Aunt Vera had passed the test of time. Well, she was blessed with good health and a good mind, true enough. But she also had chosen to seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. And now at 90 years of age, she could take off her armor, knowing the battle was almost over, and she was on the victory side. She was finishing well. Now, we may not make it to 90 and have a big party. Perhaps we already have. But in any case, let's persevere in serving our Lord. Then we too shall have the immense satisfaction that comes from knowing that we can take off our armor with dignity because we have finished well. Happy birthday, Aunt Vera. Happy birthday to you. And thank you for joining Village Church Connections.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in tomorrow and we'll hear more about what it was like 10 years ago this week and the aftermath of Hurricane Charley. We'll also get another hurricane tip from Bob Southern, and we'll have a look at the newly reopened stamp room in the Island Tunnel. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for Tuesday, August 12th. I'm Adam Brown, and for all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.